Country, or tonight on Cooking with Pure Country, we're going to be cutting these London broils up and making guisado. And guisado is a Mexican term for stew. We're going to be using canned items because when I get off late, I ain't got time to cook something from scratch sometimes. We're going to be using a can of corn, diced potatoes, green beans. We're going to make some refried beans our way with some pintos, and there's going to be some tomato sauce involved as well. Not to mention all the yummy spices that will go in there to create this one of our favorite meals. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the fat off of the London broil. In most cases, I usually get top round steak to do this, but they didn't have it when we grocery shopped, so we're going to do a London broil. My mother-in-law, who actually introduced this meal to us, is the one who is very versed in it, of course. And she said this would be just as good since they didn't have the top rounds. Once you've trimmed the fat, then you can cut it into small chunks. You can do bigger chunks if you want to. I like to do them a little bit smaller where it, makes a good amount for the three of us. Then you're going to want to add your spices. The spices we'll be using are black pepper, salt, garlic powder, cumin, and meat tenderizer. Let's go ahead and put that on pretty liberal. So Lexi's now sprinkling on the meat tenderizer, and like I say, put it liberally. You ain't gotta, overdose on the meat tenderizer, but you do want some meat tenderizer in there. She's going to add the ground cumin. The cumin gives it the good smoky flavor, and it makes it just taste so good. I can't believe I've lived the majority of my life without cumin. Thanks to my husband and his mother, I am now very familiar with it. Now she's going to put on some garlic powder. She's going to put on the salt, and it don't have to be sea salt. It can be, regular salt, sea salt, kosher, coarse, whatever. It doesn't matter. And the black pepper. And as I say, we're going to liberally do this. Then once you get your seasoning on, you want to cook it low and slow. Let me repeat that again. You want to cook it low and slow. So Lexi wanted me to throw in there this little tidbit that she does, because I've taught her to cook some of the meals that I do. Now she's sort of kind of taken over my kitchen. She always puts the eye on 6. If you have numbers, that's somewhere around medium, isn't it? Or almost medium. That way the meat will sort of start browning a little bit, and then she lowers the temperature on it and then cooks it slow. You want it to cook in its own juices, and it will. So Lexi has now put it on 3 because it's already starting to make its own juices. All that's going to help to make it tender along with the meat tenderizer. But even if you don't use meat tenderizer, when you cook it low and slow, it will tenderize this meat and it will melt in your mouth. Almost forgot the most important part, cilantro. Cilantro can be put in the beans, and it can be put in the guisado as well. I'm going to put it in the guisado because I'm not supposed to eat the beans because of the meal plan that I'm doing. And I'm not supposed to have the potatoes either, but they're small, so I should be able to avoid those. But I'm going to cut up the cilantro and get that ready. So now we are adding 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And you can use the cans of chopped tomatoes if you want to. You can use fresh tomatoes if you want to, but we use 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And then we put 2 cans of the water in there. And then we will add our diced potatoes or our sliced potatoes. Make sure you drain those. You don't want all that extra liquid in there. This is 2nd cup. And then at this point you can salt and garlic powder the sauce part as well. So as Lexi is finishing up spicing the tomato sauce that we just put in there with the salt, the pepper, the garlic powder, and I forgot the cumin. I didn't want to put the cumin in there again. Now she is going to add the cilantro, the yummy, yummy cilantro. You don't have to put the cilantro in there, but it really does make it just that much better. So, usually when you put the potatoes in, this is when you add your vegetables. But our house is a little different because some of us don't like the same vegetables. When you put in the diced potatoes or the sliced potatoes, you can also go ahead and put in green beans. You can put in corn. You can put in green peas. I've seen it several kinds of ways. I particularly like it with the potatoes and the green beans. Lexi likes it the same, or she likes it with the potatoes and the corn. But my husband doesn't like the green beans, and Lexi doesn't. Excuse me. Lexi doesn't like the peas. So what we do is we put the potatoes in there and the cilantro, and then we cook the green beans and the corn on the side. Now, as far as the beans go, we put the pintos in something separate, because even though these aren't refried beans yet, we're going to make them look and hopefully taste like it. So we're going to put those in the pan, it's a frying pan, but you're not going to fry them, obviously. You want to bring the heat up on them and go ahead and get them boiling. And once they're boiling, you want to take a fork and you want to mash those little boogers up really good. And then we'll add our cilantro. So now that the pintos have come up to a boil and they've cooked for probably about 5 or 6 minutes, now we turn them down and Lexi is starting to mash those. And once she gets those mashed up to look like refried beans, then we're going to add the cilantro. Don't go away anywhere, because we're coming right back. Now that she's got them mashed up, and it's not like a paste, it is still a little chunky in there, because that's the way we like it. She's adding the cilantro now. That's my boo. She's adding in the yummy, yummy cilantro. Stir that in and let it cook down just a little bit to soften. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to warm up some flour tortillas. That's what this is. And yes, I can have these flour tortillas, because these are the Carb Smart ones. I don't remember the name, but I get like 3 or 4 grams of carbs for tortilla, and I usually don't go over 2. So this makes this really, really, really special for me, because I can actually have flour tortillas, which is what I love with Guisado and beans. And now we're done. There's our yummy, yummy flour tortillas, low carb. I've already added the green beans into my bowl, and Lexi's added them into her bowl. And then Art has his corn, and he can dip his out. Open up that lid, baby, and show him again. This is what it looks like, and he'll pour his bowl and he'll put his corn in his. I'm sort of kind of like Lexi. I don't want a vegetable in there to sort of kind of taint the rest of it. I'm just not a big corn person. Anyway, if you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we're going to go eat this.